All right, I'm gonna do something today I've been wanting to do for a while. And a lot of people use dye to find leaks, and a lot of people do not. Anyway, it works really well. You put the dye in the refrigerant. Everybody knows that old trick. This is a really good one because it's designed to go right into 410A, and it is it's got a 1/4 inch fitting on each end, and you stick it right in line with your hose. You can put a ball valve on the hose right there. You can have that all pressurized and screw this on to the unit itself and open the ball valve, shoot it right in with a little bit of charge, a little bit of refrigerant, whatever you want to do. So you don't have to have an injector, you don't have to crank it in, and it doesn't get everywhere quite as bad because you can kind of rinse this out with a little bit of refrigerant. And, so that's one that I really like to use, but it's not all that convenient. So what I've been wanting to do is take a recovery jug and inject a bunch of dye into it and then fill it with liquid 410A and use that to add dye to a leaker. Come back a couple weeks later and look for it with the light. So let's try that. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is evacuate the jug. And I've got all of the valves open. Both sides are open on the jug. Both sides are open on the gauges. It's just a bench gauge. We don't use these in the field. And I've got the vacuum open as well as the charging port open. And I've shut this off, which goes to our dye. And this is a pretty good dye. You can see it really shows up. So let's evacuate the jug first. And these dyes come with cleaners, but I've noticed that our tub of towels that we use, we really like these. I've noticed that they will clean the dye up really well. So you can see a little right here from this cap that was on the tube, and you can see this, whatever's on this wipe just breaks it right down, pins it out. A little bit of patience and time and you can clean that up really well. It's very effective for looking for leaks. I think it's more popular in the automotive field than it is in ours, but there are quite a few people that use it in our field, especially the older guys. And it took a while for the companies to come out with the ones that are compatible. All the old dye was for mineral oil, so we needed the synthetic type. It says good 1.5 through 5 tons. I don't know how they know how long your line is, and if you've got a really long line and you're using these, I suggest you put a couple of them in there just to make it strong. It's cheap. All right, let's evacuate the jug first. And I doubt the micron gauge will light up on this. So I think that's why those were all recalled, is I think the micron sensor in those was almost always faulty or sticky or whatever. And I'm pretty sure that's why all these Hillmores got recalled. I really liked them because they change color and light up cool, but everybody knows I'm a field piece man, so these are just some gauges we use on the bench. We got a couple sets of them that we kept, and didn't turn in. All right, I haven't done this before, so we're just going to see what happens. I've closed all the valves, and I think I'm going to put it into the bottom. So I'm going to open this liquid side, and this tube goes to the bottom of the tank. And I'm just going to see what happens here. So we're under vacuum. Let's watch what happens to our tube when we open this. Okay, good. That gives us the ability to put what we want to in there. Hopefully there's not a one-way valve in this and it'll go through the high side like we want it to. It appears to be going. You can see the sight glass has filled up full of dye. So I think it's going in. Well, I hope this doesn't go everywhere. This would be quite a mess in the shop if something went wrong here. Okay, 8, 7, 6. So we're going to go a little bit further down to 5 ounces left in the tube. And that means we've put 3 ounces in the jug. So I'm going to shut this valve off. Release the pressure on the tube here, on the gun. And I'm going to hope that I can take the, you know what, I'm going to get a rag. So my hope is to take this quick connect off without getting a mess of dye everywhere. Okay. That worked out pretty good. All right, now I'm going to remove that fitting. Set the dye injector tube to the side for a minute. And get us a jug of R410a. We're going to use liquid. And see how much we can get in this jug. So I'm going to open the jug. Bleed that a little bit. I'll go ahead and sit this on the floor out of the way. I'm going to bleed it again. Go ahead and get liquid to the valve. Now let's open it and see. Yeah, it's going in, and I can see that this hose is not perfect. So we got a little bit of dye right out of that, right there. Bet you it shows up. So we can see that hose is compromised. Nonetheless, let's fill this jug up. See if we can get a pretty good bit in it. I'm going to open both sides. Try to get all we can in there. Just going to let it kind of equalize, or whatever's going to happen here. That hose is definitely compromised. Yeah, we're getting liquid, that's for sure. I wish I had started with better hoses than that. There we go. It's moving it. So this needs to be rebuilt, obviously. Oh yeah. She's filling up. I should have weighed this beforehand and then weighed it after to see how much liquid I actually got in it. But it's my first time making a dye jug. And depending on how well it works out, I may or may not do more of this in the future. Into the liquid side seems to me like that's probably better. Oh yeah, this jug here is almost done. And we've got quite a bit in here. Sounds like it's still going in. I don't make that many two-part videos, but this definitely will be one. Because we're going to try this out in the field. As soon as we run into a known leaker, I'm going to try it out and hopefully be able to teach myself how much to put into a jug and how much to put into the system. It's not very precise the way this is going to work out, so we're just going to have to work on it. At least not yet. We'll get it down to where it works well. And I put about 3 ounces out of the tube. Put the cap back on the tube. Felt one drop hit me on the arm there. And I bet that we have gotten it everywhere. The only thing about this dye is it gets everywhere. What I'm thinking is I'll have a set of gauges that I only use for dye injection, and I'll be able to watch the sight glass and see that we're actually getting a good bit. That cleaned up pretty good. There's some still around. Those wipes work really well. That fitting's got to be rebuilt. A little bit coming out of the vent on the pump for some reason. All right, that was our first attempt at the dye jug. I'm gonna stick a sticker on this jug. So we know for sure that's the one with the dye in it.